Welcome back to the deep dive. We are back with a stack of research that honestly I struggled with a little bit today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not because it's hard to understand. The concepts are actually deceptively simple,
Hmm.
but because it asks a question that is, I mean, it's just incredibly annoying if you're trying to build a career or a company.
Annoying is one word for it. Convicting is probably the other.
Yeah, convicting works. Because usually we're here talking about optimization, right?
Right. Bigger, faster.
How to get bigger, faster, more efficient.
Yeah.
We look at the skyline, literally and metaphorically. Success is the big building.
The massive follower
The
count.
quarterly return.
The expansion map, all of it.
Right. But the source material today, which revolves around this concept of legacy and global multiplication, starts with a premise that basically says you're measuring the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
It asks, what if your greatest achievement isn't what you build, but what survives after you quit?
It's the hit by a bus test, essentially.
Which is a pretty morbid way to start a Tuesday, but go on.
Well, it's this uncomfortable pattern our sources identify. It's across every sector, education, nonprofits, startups.
You see it everywhere.
Everywhere. You see these massive, impressive organizations rise up. They have a charismatic founder. They have the funding. They have all the buzz. It looks like a rocket ship.
And then the founder leaves or retires or, heaven forbid, gets hit by that.
So the bus, yeah.
And the rocket ship doesn't just stop.
It crashes. The momentum just evaporates.
Yeah.
The source calls this a failure of multiplication.
Right. We've mastered expansion.
Adding more stuff.
But we suck at continuity.
Mm.
Okay, so the mission for this deep dive is to figure out how to stop building things that collapse. We're looking at shifting from how big can I get to...
How far can this go without me?
Right, but I have to play devil's advocate here immediately.
Please, go for it.
The source creates this binary between addition and multiplication. And obviously multiplication sounds better. You know, it's a bigger math word.
It does sound better.
But in the real world, addition is how you pay the bills. You add a customer, you add a location. Why is the source demonizing that?
I don't think it's demonizing it, but it is calling it a trap, a really seductive one.
Okay.
Think of it like an apple orchard. Addition is planting a tree. You water it, you prune it, you make sure it has the perfect spot in the sun.
Okay.
That tree might produce 1,000 apples. That's success.
1,000 apples. I'd take 1,000 apples.
Sure, but what if none of those apples ever contain a seed that plants another tree? When your one perfect tree dies, the orchard is gone. Addition is linear. It depends on your effort. I can add 10 followers a day if I really hustle.
But if you stop hustling, the math stops.
Exactly. Multiplication is exponential. It's biological. It's not about the tree. It's about the seed. A tree multiplies only when it creates another tree that can grow without the original one's help.
Okay, but here's where the math gets frustrating for me. And I think this is why most leaders don't do it. Multiplication is slow.
Oh, painfully slow.
Painfully slow.
They called the valley of death for a reason.
Right. If I spend my year just adding people, say, marketing to a crowd, I can get 1,000 people to show up.
Easy.
If I spend my year multiplying, which implies this deep mentorship of just a few people, I might end the year with, what, 3?
3, maybe? And your board of directors is going to look at that year-end report and fire you.
Exactly. Congrats, you have 3 guys.
But here's the trick. Here's the kingdom math. In year 1, addition wins. You have 1,000, I have 3. No contest.
Yeah.
In year 2, you have 2,000, I might have 9. But by year 10, addition has maybe 10,000.
And multiplication?
Has 1 million. You just have to survive the quiet years to get to the exponential boom.
So it's a long game strategy that looks like total failure in the short term.
Precisely. And that brings us to the core strategy the source lays out. They call it depth before breadth. And they use a historical example that is, arguably the most successful leadership case study in history, regardless of your religious background.
You're talking about the Jesus strategy.
Right. Kingdom mathematics, the source calls it. You have a leader with a message intended for the entire globe, global ambition. But what does he do? He ignores the masses.
Which is so counterintuitive. If you want to reach the world, shouldn't you be doing massive rallies every single day?
You'd think so.
Yeah.
But he did the opposite. He spent 3 years focusing almost exclusively on 12 people.
And really, the inner circle was just 3.
Just 3. He bet the entire farm on 3 people.
Because he needed successors, not just an audience.
Exactly. If you have an audience, when you leave, the show is over. If you have successors, The show goes on.
I was reading through the strategy notes on this, and I kept seeing this code pop up, 2 Timothy 2.2.
Yeah.
It sounds like a secret password. I had to look it up, but it's essentially a flowchart, isn't it?
It is. It's a 4-generation blueprint. Paul tells Timothy, "The things you heard me say, entrust to faithful people who will be able to teach others also."
So, Paul teaches Timothy.
Yeah.
Timothy teaches faithful people.
Who then teach others. So Paul, Timothy, faithful people, others.
4 generations. Most organizations, they can't even get past generation 2. The founder teaches the staff, and the staff just
does the work.
right. The chain breaks.
Mm.
So why does it break? Is it just that we're bad at teaching?
It breaks because we confuse information with formation. This is a huge distinction in the text.
Right.
We think if we send someone a PDF or give them access to a webinar or a standard operating procedure, we've trained them.
Here's a login to the Google Drive. Good luck.
Right. That's just information transfer. But you cannot clone a leader with a PDF. The source argues that faith is caught, not just taught.
I like that.
And you can substitute culture or leadership DNA for faith there. You can't transmit resilience or character through a screen. It has to be relational.
So formation is the slow, messy work of actually shaping a person.
Yes.
Whereas expansion is just adding numbers.
And without the formation, the expansion is just a bubble. It will burst.
Speaking of bubbles bursting, let's get into the autopsy section of this deep dive.
The fun part.
The source identifies the killers of multiplication. And honestly, this felt a bit like a personal attack.
It's meant to be a diagnostic mirror. Which one stung the most for you?
Oh, definitely founder dependency. They call it a charismatic bottleneck.
Ah, yes. The great man theory of leadership.
It's the leader who is the face, the brain, and the heart of the operation. And we tend to praise that. We say, wow, she's so involved. She's everywhere.
But the source argues that if you are everywhere, you are actually the lid on the organization's growth.
Wow.
It's fragility disguised as strength. If the vision relies entirely on your energy level, it dies when you get the flu.
It's the bus factor again. If the bus hits you, does the vision die on the pavement with you?
That's the test. A monument is built to honor the founder. A movement moves without them. If things slow down when you leave the room, you're building a monument to yourself.
Ouch. Okay, the second killer is knowledge hoarding. And this one feels a bit more malicious. Or maybe just insecure.
It's usually insecurity.
Yeah.
Or just a lack of systems. It's the secret sauce problem.
Right. Nobody can do it like I do it, so I'll just do it myself.
Or if I teach them how to do it, they won't need me anymore.
Exactly. It's job security.
But true multiplication requires open-handedness.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to give away the keys.
Which leads us to the solution the source offers. And I have to say, when I first read the word, I groaned. Documentation.
I know, it sounds like homework.
It sounds like the opposite of a revolution. It sounds like filing cabinets.
But the source frames it as writing the future.
Okay.
Let's reframe it. In the startup world, we'd call this scalability. You cannot scale what is only in your head.
True.
The source calls it a spiritual act of stewardship. If you love the mission, you write it down.
But let's get practical here, because I've seen plenty of standard operating procedures that nobody reads.
Right.
They sit in a binder and they gather dust. What specifically goes into this replication toolkit the source talks about?
That's a great question. It's not just a checklist of tasks. A real replication toolkit is more like a franchise kit.
Okay, what's the difference?
A checklist tells you what to do. Unlock the door. Turn on the lights. A franchise kit captures the DNA.
The DNA.
It includes the why and the how we feel.
So not just handle the customer complaint, but here is the philosophy of how we treat people.
Exactly. It might include audio recordings of the founder telling the origin stories. It includes testimony archives, stories of lives changed. So the new leader understands the emotional weight of the work.
I see.
And strategy manuals that explain the decision-making framework, not just the decisions that were made.
So you're trying to export the brain and the heart of the leader, not just their hands.
Yes. You are creating a living playbook. The goal isn't to create a rule book that restricts people, like a straitjacket, but a toolkit that liberates them. If they have the DNA, they can make decisions without calling you.
That's the key. Without calling you, that's how you break the bottleneck.
Correct.
Now, I want to pivot to the global part of global multiplication.
Right.
Because the source brings up this idea that legacy has to travel. And they use a term I hadn't heard before, centrifugal legacy.
This is a physics metaphor.
Right. I know centrifugal force pushes out and centripetal pulls in.
Exactly. Think of a merry-go-round. Centripetal force is you holding on for dear life to the center pole so you don't fall off.
Yeah.
That's how most organizations run. Come to headquarters. Come to the main campus. Come to the guru.
It's hoarding talent.
Yes. Centrifugal legacy is letting go of the pole and letting the momentum fling people out into the world.
Ah.
The source points to the Antioch model in the early church. It wasn't a destination, it was a launch pad.
A hub.
A hub. You train people in their context, and then you send them out.
But here is where it gets tricky. If you send people out, how do you keep them on track? The source talks a lot about indigenous leadership versus cultural imperialism.
This is crucial. If you just export your specific way of doing things, your rigid model, it's like wearing a heavy winter coat in the tropics, just because it's cold where you came from.
This coat works great in Chicago, so you have to wear it in Manila.
Exactly. It's absurd.
Mm-hmm.
But we do this in leadership all the time. We export our methods rather than our principles.
So true multiplication means letting the local leaders change the outfit.
Yeah, they must change the outfit. This is what the source calls contextual theology or, contextual leadership. The core DNA, the message, the values stays exactly the same.
Okay.
But the expression, the how, that has to adapt to the local soil.
If it doesn't adapt, it's just a clone, and clones die in the wild.
Right. There's a difference between renting and owning. If a movement is led by an outsider, it's renting. If the funding stops or the outsider leaves, the movement collapses. Indigenous leadership means the locals own the house.
This idea of letting go brings me to technology, because usually when we talk about scaling globally, we talk about tech. But tech is usually how we centralize control, isn't it?
Yeah.
We use dashboards to monitor everyone. We use Zoom to beam the CEO into every meeting.
We do. We use tech to maintain that centripetal pull to the center.
But the source seems to suggest doing the opposite.
They frame digital platforms as Roman roads. In the ancient world, the roads were highways for connection, not destinations in themselves.
Meaning they are just the conduit.
Right. The danger zone is mistaking access for formation. I can give you access to all the content in the world. I can put all my talks on YouTube. That's easy.
But watching a YouTube video doesn't build character.
Exactly. Information travels fast on digital roads. Formation travels at the speed of relationship.
So what's the balance? Do we ditch the tech?
No. You use the tech to support the relationship. This is the hub concept again.
Okay.
You use the platform to distribute resources, the toolkits, the videos, the training. But you rely on networks of people and physical hubs to actually do the mentoring.
So it's high-tech resources.
And low-tech relationships. It's a hybrid. It allows for decentralized trust. You aren't controlling every decision from the top, but everyone is connected to the same resource stream.
You know, as we talk through all of this, giving away your secrets, empowering local leaders to change your methods, refusing to be the center of attention, it sounds like ego death.
It is ego death. That's the price of admission for multiplication.
The source uses a final metaphor that really drives this home. It's from John 12:24. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone.
It remains alone. That is the haunting part.
You can stay a seed, you can keep your shell intact, you can be the shiny, perfect founder with the perfect organization, but you'll be alone.
And when you're gone, it's gone.
Mm.
To get the forest, the seed has to break open. It has to be buried. The leader has to be willing to disappear into the soil so that something else can grow.
That is such a hard shift. We all want to be the tree that everyone admires. Nobody wants to be the dirt.
But the dirt is where the growth happens. It's moving from monuments to movements.
So let's wrap this up with the audit the source suggests. And this is a tough one. It's not about checking your bank account or your follower count.
No, it's the successor audit.
Are you raising successors or just spectators?
A spectator watches you do it. They might cheer for you. They might even pay to watch you.
But they can't do it.
A successor is ready to step in when you step out.
And the final question. If you walked away from your project tomorrow, if you ghosted your own company, what would survive next week?
Not just what would survive, but would it grow? Or would it just slowly maintain until the batteries ran out?
That's the difference between legacy and just history. True legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's not the plaque on the wall.
True legacy is what you leave within others, is the seeds you planted in people who are going to go places you will never see.
That's a heavy thought to leave you with, but it's the only one that matters. Stop counting the apples. Start counting the seeds. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.